Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay. And characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch.
I'm vibing!
This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else.
That's most definitely what's up.
Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check.
Death to all of them.
Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, deep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. The Costco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes, and also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-ta-ta, beep-a-dap, boop. Skim, milk, the rat fleet, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, that song was written by Jacob, performed by Usher. Yes. We all those donations and super chats and memberships and stuff you guys sent in. Yep, that all just went straight to the fund, the Usher fund. Money well spent. Yeah, I mean, took out a second mortgage for it. Don't tell my wife, please. Please, no. Okay, we're here though. Also, everybody over on Twitch, Gajubai. I'm sorry, Nightbot. Nightbot was deleting your comments because you were using capital letters. I have turned those things off. Nightbot doesn't know what it's doing. It's a little much. It's got to calm down. But here we are, ready to rock and roll and talk about some stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Gonna be a good day. Imagine if there was a music video to that Concord song. Yeah, we totally should do that. I don't even know what that would look like or how we would do that, but maybe we work on that, because that could be really funny. Then a bunch of cats ate his face. Oh man, it's good. Yeah, it would be good. Go over the top. Yeah, we'd have to go crazy. Like go on Toro and rent like a Lamborghini and do it like a standard music video where for some reason like there's just a bunch of people dancing in the background. Yeah, I think we could have fun with it. Yeah, gonna need a full-size rat outfit. I can have Jacob dress up like the rat and then crawl across a large keyboard. Yeah, there's lots of stuff we could do with that. Yeah. I would see projects like that. I'm like, that could be really fun. But then I always kind of pause and I just imagine a timeline where like I get an audit from the IRS and I have to explain to them what that money was for. They're like, so you have a write-off on your form here for Concord's death music video, and you spent $250 on a full adult size rat suit. Can you explain that to us? We just have to be like, yes, that was for a music video production we were working on. It's just show them the video. Yeah, and then I'd have to sit down during like an auditing session and show IRS agents a music video where we're dressed as rats. You know, I'm convincing myself of it as we go through this. I've done it. Also, one other thing I've convinced myself of that I was not ready for previously was to check out the battle pass for Call of Duty Black Ops 6, because they apparently have added the ray gun dance as an emote. I've never wanted a battle pass more. I mean, honestly, it's like, it's pretty good. it's pretty good. Like typically battle passes, I'm like, I don't need a new keychain. I don't need a new wallpaper for my character stat sheet. But this, I might need this. You know, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. I love how I don't think there has ever been another Olympics performance that was so bad it got the sport pulled from the Olympics. Like Raygun was so bad that they actually pulled breakdancing from like future events, which is wild. It's honestly impressive though. I saw this game. There's like an upcoming 2D game called Spirit of the Samurai. It's inspired by like 2D games, but it's also like 3D, almost like stop motion at times. But like, look at this. They were going around showing like their different art styles of their games. Does that not look like so freaking badass? I know I'm weird that I really like these really gross, creepy art styles, but like, I love that. How cool is that? It is stop motion officially? I mean, it looks phenomenal. It looks phenomenal. Like this one, it popped up on my feed. I was like, I'm paying attention now. Oh, baby. Spirit of the Samurai. It's really, really impressive. Yeah, creatures from Japanese folklore.
Hello, my name is Xavi Fradera. I'm a project manager, and today I'm happy to talk to you about the Spirit of the Samurai. The Spirit of the Samurai is a dark 2D action adventure game that combines Souls-like and Metroidvania elements. Following the journey of Takeshi, a samurai is summoned to battle hordes of Oni and other creatures drawn from Japanese folklore.
Like, come on, dude.
Throughout the story, players will also control Chisai, Takeshi's warrior cat companion, as well as a small Kodama spirit imbued with magical powers. While controlling Takeshi, you are a seasoned warrior, expert in sword, fighting, and archery. You attack and perform various combos with the right controller stick, and that comes in handy when you get attacked from multiple fronts and need to finish off enemies back and forth. You may parry with uses...
Like, it's probably a clunky video game in terms of gameplay, just based on what I'm seeing, but the art style alone, I'm like, man, well done. Well done. So yeah, that stood out to me. I thought I'd share that because it was pretty cool. But as for other stuff we're gonna go through today, we've got some. This was just freaking funny. Yeah, the Onion bid on the InfoWars thing after the whole Sandy Hook ruling. They auctioned off everything for InfoWars, which is Alex Jones's company, and I don't know if the sale went through or not, but the idea that the Onion was going to try to buy the InfoWars website, and the Onion CEO said they are trying to acquire it because, quote, this is the funniest thing that has ever happened. It is a little funny. I was like, when I heard that they were auctioning stuff off, I was like, who's gonna like buy, like, the cameras? I get, you buy the cameras, you can sell the cameras, like you buy the tables or TVs, you can do that, but it's brilliant. Unless like this is an Onion story of them doing that. But I think Alex actually said on like an X post video, he confirmed that it was true, what he heard from his lawyers. So I have no idea what's real anymore. We live in a simulation. Everything is fake. Nothing's real. Speaking of nothing's real, Microsoft has, we can start with this. New segment. Xbox has taken to rebranding what an Xbox is. You've probably seen this, but I've been telling you guys for months and months and months the same thing over and over and over again. Microsoft is not playing the console game that they have consistently been losing against PlayStation. They are making their own game, and they're going to approach this the same way they approach selling copies of Windows to any manufacturer that wants it, selling Microsoft Office to anybody who wants it, whether you're on an iPhone or a Mac or whatever. They are going for software distribution. That's what they're good at. That is why Microsoft is a $3 trillion company, and that's what they're going to do with Xbox. And so they launched this new marketing campaign where they describe all of these different things as an Xbox. So they show, of course, the Series X. This is an Xbox. A laptop. This is an Xbox for your lap. This is an Xbox that tags along. This is a cat box. This is an Xbox that goes on the wall, just a TV. This is an Xbox that makes calls, showing the Z Fold 6. This is a bento box. This is an Xbox on the inside. This is an Xbox that you wear with the Oculus. This is still an Xbox with the Series S. And then this, the Xbox Pro, finally released. And let's just say a lot of like the diehard Xbox crew was not super thrilled with this change, because this is like the official shift. Prior to this, they've been acting as though this was the approach, but this is the first time, as far as I'm aware, where the marketing has reflected this new approach, where they are not considering like games exclusive to a piece of hardware. Like, yeah, they have these, they're still selling these, but that is not an Xbox. Xbox is the software platform. The hardware can exist on a laptop, in the form of a laptop, a handheld TV, Fire TV stick, Oculus headset, whatever. They just want you to be able to play on their software platform in as many places as possible. This is very much a Satya Nadella move, in my opinion, the CEO of Microsoft. This is definitely one of his influences, which honestly, if you're the big man in charge and you greenlit 70 billion, technically with ZeniMax, it's like $77 billion in acquisitions. Yeah, you get to decide where we're going with it. You're like, fair, can't complain. But with this, I think it's just a major shift in approach that they are finally now following through with. And whether you love it or not, I'm glad that they're at least starting to commit, because the last 2-3 years, it's felt like Microsoft has no idea what they're doing at any given moment. It feels like every month they have a new strategy and none of them work particularly well. So they just kind of bounce around and nobody has any idea what's happening. But now it's clear This is the approach. The other thing that broke with this story was that Phil Spencer said very openly that there is no red line when it comes to what games come to Xbox or come from Xbox elsewhere. In other words, he does not think that certain games are off limits. It doesn't matter. Starfield, sure, it can go to PlayStation or to the Xbox platform where it's available on everything. There's no limit. Same thing with Halo. When people asked, is Halo going to go and end up on other platforms? He said, it's too early to tell. That very surprising, because you would think that if any game were a hard line, it would be that one. But no, it's apparently Halo is on the table. So things are just changing. And part of it is not just Satya deciding, from on high that that's what it's going to be. Part of it is that Satya is looking at the numbers, and the numbers are that they have spent $77 billion on all these acquisitions, and they are not seeing an improvement in market share. They're not seeing people selling their PlayStations to buy an Xbox to play Starfield. They're not seeing people buying an additional console to play Starfield. I would argue part of that is because everybody knows it's going to end up on PlayStation anyways. So any big exclusives you can just sit on and wait. And so it's kind of like the chicken and the egg thing, like which came first, people's hesitance to move to Xbox or their knowledge of other things coming to their platform later because nobody wanted to move to Xbox. Who can say? But I think at this point, I can't blame them for taking this approach, but really it's just changing it where Xbox is going to transition into a major publisher and distributor, and they're going to run COD and, of course, everything Blizzard does and all the ZeniMax deals and Bethesda deals. They're going to run all of that. And I would guess that they put almost all of it on all platforms at the same time. Game Pass will make it compelling because you can sign up for $15-16 a month for their subscription. But it's kind of like movies or shows that Netflix signs a deal with, where they might sign a deal with Netflix where it's part of your membership, but you can get it on Amazon Prime Video for a $20 fee or for 30, 40, $50 or whatever. So it's like you can get it on PlayStation. It's available there, but far and away the best value is through the Xbox ecosystem or portal directly. I think that's what they're going to do. And whether or not it's successful, I think time will tell. But frankly, I'm not sure if they can do much worse than they've already been doing. So, you know what? The old saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it is broke, do something. And in this case, Xbox has been in trouble for a long time, and they're just trying to do something different. Now, as I said, a lot of Xbox hardcore peeps were not too thrilled about this. I did watch one video. I should have bookmarked it. It was on my TikTok feed, but I did see one guy. It was one of those mythical For You polls. You know how like you're just scrolling and sometimes you get lucky with a video and you're like, this was sent to me from on high. This was a video with like 4 or 5 likes. Like nobody had seen it. It was just some person that lived in what looked like a bunker, and they were like actually crying about this, that Xbox was dead, that Phil had finally killed it and all this. It was crazy. And part of what that person brought up was like the console side of it, and whether it sounded like they thought that consoles were going to be gone and Microsoft was just going to move on from selling like Xbox hardware. But he confirmed they are still doing that. They're going to do a handheld. We talked about that on the last stream, where he wants to do a handheld device, but it's probably still a few years away. What he said was a few years away. So potentially lined up with next gen launch or whatever. But he talked about that. And then he also talked about a mid-gen refresh, which was interesting when he did an interview with Rolling Stone. I'm not sure why all of a sudden, like, this is the moment where Phil is going out and doing these. Because you remember just earlier this week, he went and did an interview in New York City with Bloomberg. And then he went and did interviews with GameFile. And he, like, a bunch of people have gone off and done interviews with him. And I don't know why this is the week he's going into overdrive with it, but there's probably a reason. I'm just not sure what it is. If you have a theory, put it in chat, please. But he said, yeah, the reason for not releasing mid-gen refresh console for Xbox Series X and S, like the PS5 Pro, is that stating, quote, it's harder to show the benefits for such consoles. During an interview with Rolling Stone, Phil Spencer was asked why Xbox wasn't working on a mid-gen refresh like the PS5 Pro. And in response, he stated that Xbox thinks, quote, about hardware that can create unique value for the players or creators on its platform. The company doesn't need to work on incremental hardware for its benefit. The other piece of this, which is kind of the elephant in the room with Xbox from the last, for this whole console generation, is there was reporting, let me see if I can find the original article. Because this was insane. I'm not seeing it. Basically, there was a story where it was an offhand comment that Phil made. I believe it was Phil, that they quickly backtracked on. But he made an offhand comment years ago where he suggested that the Series X was their mid-gen refresh device and the Series S was their like 2020 next-gen console. And that was kind of their approach, where they were like, yeah, we already are doing our mid-gen refresh right now ahead of time. And it's like, that's literally not what mid-gen refresh means, because mid-gen would suggest it was in the middle of the gen, but whatever. And I think that that's kind of the approach that they've had, is they already splintered the dev process by having a Series S and an X at the same time. And so to introduce a third console would just be another layer of headaches on top of it. And at the end of the day, like, all of these cross-generational or cross-platform games, they are all limited by the lowest common denominator. If you need to support the Series S, which is the weakest console available other than the Switch and stuff, having a more powerful other device doesn't actually do a lot other than just kind of scaling up maybe target resolutions or target frame rates if you're really lucky or whatever, but it doesn't fundamentally change what games are possible. It's just turning some dials up, it's not changing everything. So I think they just are kind of already in too deep, and they're like, yeah, it's not worth the trouble. And honestly, the other piece, which of course he's not going to say, it's not like the Series X and S are selling that well. Okay. Like, would a mid-gen refresh even sell well? I'm not so sure. They don't really have any big exclusives, like big exclusives that are going to move consoles. They've got Indiana Jones, but I don't expect, maybe I'm crazy, I don't expect Indiana Jones to light the world on fire. Maybe I'm a cynical prick or whatever. I just don't see it. I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, yeah, there's some people interested, but I think most people are going to like play it. It's probably going to come out at like high 70s on Metacritic. People are going to be like, okay, I'll play it at some point on Game Pass. And that's going to be it. I don't think that that's a console seller. So I kind of get what he's doing. I think it's a bad look to just let PlayStation dominate the Pro discussion, because next year with GTA 6, that is a console seller. If you have the definitively best place or best hardware to play that game, people will buy it. I'm telling you straight up, if they have like the Xbox Series E, so they have the SEX, just go full Tesla with it. If they do that, there will be people that go out and buy the Model Y or the Model E. I already forgot what I called it. Xbox naming conventions, ladies and gents. But if they have that, people will go out. I probably would. I'd go out and buy a Series E Xbox just to have the best platform for GTA 6, because it's not coming to PC for like 18 months. Yeah, it won't have pisser technology, so they'll have to come up with something else. But like, that's the thing, is like, if they can have the definitively best hardware for that game and it's supported and utilized properly by Rockstar, that will sell it. But it seems like they're already behind on where they need to be. And it's like, You can lead the fill to water, but you can't make him drink. And this is the most readily apparent thing for the last decade was have the best hardware available when GTA 6 launches and you'll sell a lot of consoles. And they're just like, oh, that's happening. It's like, okay, I don't feel bad. So anyway, he goes on a little bit saying, yeah, the company doesn't need to work on incremental hardware for its benefit. Phil Spencer said, or was asked whether a new mid-gen device provides player with unique experience on screen in some way. And he said it's less like the old days when going from the original Xbox to 360 meant for moving from standard definition to high definition. He concluded by stating, now it's harder to show the benefits for mid-gen consoles. Sure. I think part of this is like the PS5 Pro does improve. It is an improvement over the PlayStation 5. It's not like it does nothing. It's just a very small incremental improvement that's very, very minor. And for $700, it's really hard to justify for 95% of the population. So I think he's probably looking at the same thing where years ago they were looking at prototypes and just like, we're going to have to charge $700 or $600 for this console. And it's not even going to like double the frame rate in some of our big exclusives. And it's just going to be like a more expensive box for no one to buy. So they just decided not to bother with it. And I can't say I blame them because again, I don't think it would magically sell. And seeing this new shift in marketing approach makes it very, very clear that they're just not that concerned with hardware. They'll still do hardware. They'll still have a handheld in a few years. They'll still do this, just like they still sell Surface laptops. They still sell the Surface Studio, whatever. You know, they still sell Microsoft hardware, but it is not a priority at all. It is very low on their priority list. And so I just think if you are one of these like hardcore Xbox fans, you got to start thinking about this differently because Xbox, I think in 3, 4, 5 years, it's going to be considered like, no, most of Xbox is done through the app on your Windows PC. Most of Xbox's experience through the streaming service on your TV. It's like, oh yeah, there's hardware. Yeah, there's a physical hardware thing, but I think it's going to be much less with it. They'll probably start selling the controllers bundled with Game Pass cards in it, and it won't even come with the console, and that's just going to be the new normal. So buckle up, buckaroo. Also, I hate to be this guy. This litter box is way too small for a cat that size. That cat is huge for that litter box. I'm sorry, I've got to say it. The bento box does look really tasty. Now I'm hungry. Thanks, Xbox. Thanks. Oh, anyway. The litter box Series S. They already do that? Rabid Wolf, really? They sell Game Pass bundled with controllers? Oh. Well, there you go. DLSS is way better than Pisser. Oh, no doubt. Yeah. But in order to utilize DLSS, you have to have NVIDIA graphics chips, and like pretty much all consoles except for the Nintendo Switch 2, it looks like, use AMD stuff. So you got to use FSR unless you're PlayStation, in which case you develop your own proprietary thing and then you have Pisser. Let me catch up on these super chats real quick before we move on to the next little tidbit, because we also got a new trailer for an upcoming game that I've already sort of forgotten about, unfortunately. Avowed. It's only 20 or 43 seconds long. Ugh. Okay, we'll talk about this. In uno momento. We'll dive into it. Chief Adam Gaming, thank you for the 10. Very generous. I am interested in getting a PS5 Pro. Will my 65-inch Sony X90L be good enough, or should I save up for an OLED first? OLEDs primarily are beneficial for the deepness of the blacks, and they like OLEDs perform really well in dark spaces. If your room in which it is placed has a lot of ambient light, so like big windows and stuff, an OLED might not be the best fit. Modern OLEDs have gotten a lot better, but still they can struggle with a lot of competing light. So if you play in the day a lot, if there's a lot of ambient light, that's something to consider. But I mean, the main thing with the PS5 Pro is resolution and frame rate related. Any TV that you own nowadays is going to be 4K and it's going to be at least 60 hertz. So as long as it's big enough to see the difference, I think you could still enjoy the detail improvements. Of course, an OLED's probably going to be the best overall quality, but yeah, I mean, I think you can still certainly enjoy it with something that size. So yeah, I'd say if you really want one, go for it. I think you'd be good. Blake Rogers, thank you for the 10. The issue is Xbox can't commit to a plan. If it didn't, when within 3 to 6 months, they just restructure where Sony and Nintendo has a plan and stick to it. If it didn't, when within 3 to 6 months, they just restructure where Sony and Nintendo has a plan and stick to it. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I think that they've really struggled with sticking to a plan. And it seems like a lot of it is that they have struggled with pinning down how they want to handle the big acquisitions like Call of Duty. One of the big questions for a long time was, okay, you buy Call of Duty, do you make it exclusive to Xbox hardware in 3, 4, 5 years to push people
Robertson
there,
is now
you
a
know?
member.
Miles.
Luke, I'm looking into a gaming laptop. Don't have enough room for a gaming PC in my room. Any recommendations and why?
I really like my Alienware. MSI also makes fantastic gaming laptops. Just look on Best Buy. We're about to hit Black Friday, so wait a few weeks. But yeah, it's a great time. MSI or honestly Alienwares have impressed me. I like their keyboards a lot, but MSI is probably the first place I'd look through like Best Buy or something. But MSI gaming laptops are great. But going back to that, I mean, bear in mind, what is something that just happened where Xbox was experimenting to see how gamers would react? The launch of Black Ops 6. And what were they testing? They were testing whether or not they could still see a lot of sales come through on PlayStation and signups through Game Pass and Steam sales and all this stuff. They wanted to see if they could actually still benefit while putting all that up on all platforms. Because Black Ops 6, like their whole approach was make it available everywhere. Make it the most affordable through Game Pass, but make it available everywhere. And it was, by all accounts, a smashing success. Like they blew away all of their sales targets. Player engagement numbers were amazing. New signups on Game Pass were at all-time highs. So it's pretty clear that they tested it with Black Ops. Black Ops was a tremendous success. And they're like, oh, well, shoot. Maybe we just do that with everything. And I think that's where they're at. I really think Black Ops is what sealed this whole strategy. They saw the success there and like, okay, this can work with our biggest stuff. Let's just do it with everything. Lock it in. So I think this is the point, now that they've done the marketing, I think this is the point where they take this route. Would not surprise me if they announce within like 6 months to a year ports for like games like Starfield to go over to PlayStation. I think Hellblade 2 ends up on PlayStation. They can try to make some money back over there. I think we'll see it all over the place. I think they're going to go full balls deep on this. I think so. Because they got that Black Ops money and they're like, ooh, it's so sweet. It feels so good. All that money feels so good. Nissan, thank you for the 5. Software sales are what matter. That's what's been the case. Microsoft owns the highest selling game of 2024. Black Ops, this will be the new normal. Yeah. I think, again, Black Ops' blowout success is what's going to push them to take this approach. For sure. Balls deep. Nice. You're damn right. Hellblade 2 is going to be 60 on the PS5 Pro. It might be. And honestly, like a lot of the initial sales of Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice were on PlayStation. I think that's where I first played it because I think it was on PlayStation Plus for a bit before they were acquired. And I mean, I do think a lot of people will play it. I still think it's a really lackluster game, but I think if that comes to PlayStation at like $30, I do think a lot of people would buy it. Oh yeah, Daniil, yeah, we've got that pulled up. Stalker 2 is also an Xbox exclusive for now. I mean, when this is your marketing approach, I don't think you should be surprised when they pivot off and start making everything available everywhere. Okay, let's talk about this and then the Avowed stuff. Boo, boo, boo. Let me pull that over. Close that. Here we go. So, new segment. Voila. Isn't Stalker 2 only exclusive for 3 to 4 months? Oh, well, there you go. Boom. Who knew? Confirmed by chat. I mean, either way, I wouldn't be surprised if it is or isn't, but it's, yeah, I don't think there's any chance of it staying that way for forever. Okay, let's talk about this. Avowed. It's a game that's coming and will be playable, probably. This is from Obsidian, the same guys that did, of course, New Vegas, but more recently they did things like The Outer Worlds. They do like Pillars of Eternity, Grounded. They did do Pentiment, which was tremendous, but very niche. But this is their next big game, and I've talked about this game a lot. You know, it's been kind of in the public domain for a while. People have been aware of it because the original trailer for Avowed was really, really compelling and interesting. When people first saw it, it was like, oh, because this was it. Minute 20, it was announced 4 years ago, July of 2020. Middle of COVID, and it was this like really dark and gritty trailer where you see like castle walls and then these burning arrows are launched and they fly through the sky and end up in these like dark caves with magic casters and stuff. Really interesting, and people saw this, and I remember at the time everybody was like, ooh, it's going to be Oblivion, or it's going to be Obsidian's version of Elder Scrolls. Let's go. So it's going to be like the New Vegas of Elder Scrolls. It's going to be like their own spinoff that's done better and has better role playing and all that. But this tone was seemingly abandoned at some point. So this people connected with and ate up. People love this. Really dark, really serious. What we have now is this. I would wager that they don't even look like the same game. Okay, this is the artwork now.
Imperial envoy. Better late than never, I say.
Like, am I wrong? Does it not look like a totally different game? To me, it looks very different. Now, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. It just looks totally different. I don't know why they made that shift, but at some point, a different approach was taken. What I expect this is going to be is probably an okay RPG or even a fine RPG. We'll talk about that in a second. But it's probably a smaller game. It's probably around the same scale and quality level of like the Outer Worlds. You shouldn't expect something massive or huge. It really does seem that this is probably a 20-30 hour game when all is said and done. And it's not going to be like the be all end all. It's not going to be the highest production value. It's probably going to be fine, which it makes it kind of perfect for Game Pass because it's a game I probably would not buy full price at launch typically, but if it's available on Game Pass, it's probably much easier to kind of mentally justify. I'm trying to figure out what these gigantic gray bubbles are. Are those like domes? they kind of look like they're not actual assets. It kind of looks like it's some sort of like null object that was rendered in. I don't know what that is. It's really weird. Doesn't look quite right. Everything else is textured with like this brick look, but then these are just big, bland gray. Does that not look kind of weirdly out of place? I don't know. Anyway, the text on the screen, I think it's clouds. I don't know what kind of clouds those are. Maybe like it's a, I don't know. Anyway, dragon eggs. Yeah, exactly. There you go. So the elephant on the screen, I don't know why I keep referencing elephants this stream. It's just the verbal tick of the day, I guess. But 5-day early access. I made this prediction on our podcast with Jor like a year ago, months ago, whatever it was. And I said, like, what is the surefire way that Xbox could get more money out of current Xbox subscribers? Game Pass subscribers specifically. If you are somebody that already pays the 15, 20 bucks a month or whatever, and you're going to play this game and you're excited, dare I say hyped for it, how does Xbox extract more cash out of you? Because typically what they would do is they would like try to get you to buy the Ultimate Edition or try to get you to do this or that. But that's a lot harder to do when somebody already has the game through Game Pass. Like you have to go and then pay extra on top of what you have included to upgrade the version. That's tougher to do. But if somebody's hyped and you can get them early access, that's a much more compelling sell. And that's what we saw with Starfield. Starfield, lots of people, even if they weren't hyped for the game, they were intrigued and they wanted to see what was up. So they paid I think it was $35 or $34 to upgrade the version of the game that's included with Game Pass to the Ultimate or Premium, whatever it was, Deluxe Edition that had early access. And this, I predicted last year, I was like, this is going to be their new approach. This is what they're doing. They're going to do this where they are shifting away. Well, not shifting away, but they're going to include early access on pretty much every single thing. If you want the earliest of access, you got to upgrade your version that's included with Game Pass and do it that way. Maybe one day they even include like a Game Pass Ultimate Premium Plus Ultra Pro Max version, and that's like $30 a month and comes with the early access built in. Maybe they already do that for all I know, but I think that that's what they're doing. It was $30 for Starfield, $20 for Avowed. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's also a smaller game, so you would expect to see that. 5-day early access is pretty crazy, but again, like I can't say I'm too surprised because with this is a game, like Avowed especially, is a game where a lot of people are going to be playing it at some point, probably trying it at least. But it's probably not a game that they would go out of their way to spend $60 on or $50 on, whatever they're charging for it. And so Game Pass is like the perfect spot for it. But for the few people that are really, really excited, that do want to play it very first, don't want to miss out on anything, having early access available is certainly solid. I don't expect it to be like a breakout success, and I'm somebody that really loves Obsidian stuff, but everything I've seen about it, it just looks like probably a solid AA offering in terms of budget and scale. I'm wondering if they're just doing this, like if Xbox is like, okay, let's just get it out. And what Phil should do is he should go and slam dunk, easy brownie points, green light a Fallout spinoff. Try to time it for season 2 or whatever, remaster or remake New Vegas, something easy like that. You will make so much money, dude. If you do that, I'm telling you, with the Obsidian branding on it, you will print money. Just all of it. So much. Just do it. Like, it's so easy, but who knows? Xbox hasn't really instilled a lot of confidence in me, frankly. Looks like something I want to skip. I mean, like I said, it's a AA budgeted game. And the more I've seen of it, it just looks really clunky. And frankly, what I was most excited for was that really dark and gritty fantasy with an Obsidian flair to it. But what we got was this like really light, colorful, cartoony approach. And it might be a solid game when it's out, but it's just not what excited me about that initial trailer. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat. Where they're like, I loved what you initially showed off. And like this just looks kind of overly generic fantasy, and it's just a little bit of a letdown. But it goes to show you why you have to be so careful with how you announce something, how you frame it, because if you don't do it properly, it's I mean, you can really turn off a lot of people to the point where they're just like, I'm out. I don't expect a 10 out of 10, but I trust Obsidian. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it'll be an Outer Worlds style game. It's probably, for most people, it's going to be like a C. It's going to be like, yeah, it was passable. I don't think it's going to be very long. I don't think it's going to be particularly wild or impressive, but it'll be probably a solid role-playing game that you can go through a few times and have fun with. And it's going to be clunky, and it's not going to be that expansive or anything, but it'll be fine. I think that's where it's going to land. If you played the Outer Worlds, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The other piece of this that's really, really important is the release date. February 18th. Early access allows you to get in on the 13th. If you've not looked at the release calendar for February 2025, tell you what, there's a lot. There's a lot. It's going to be a lot. So we have in that realm, so it's early access on like the 12th or 13th. Civ 7 launches on the 11th. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, another role-playing game. Not fantasy, it's medieval, but maybe same like ballpark, you know, it's swords and stuff. That game comes out 2 days before the early access. And this is going to be like an 80 to 100 hour game. I mean, this is not a game that you're going to get through in 2 days. This is a game that you're going to be spending a lot of time on. So I fully expect that Kingdom Come is going to cannibalize a lot of the RPG players that might jump into something like Avowed. So already just that, I think, really limits its potential. And as like a YouTuber making content for this, I'll tell you what, I am much more likely to make videos and to try to review something like Kingdom Come than I am to try to get videos on like Avowed out the door. And that's going to be true of, I think, every YouTuber and creator. So don't be surprised when Avowed launches and you're like, oh, that came out. I think it's just because every creator is going to have to pick their battles and is going to choose Kingdom Come over Avowed, a much smaller game. It's just what's going to happen. We don't want it to be a failure. Like, I don't want Obsidian to have an L on this, but it's just you are releasing it in between some of the biggest games of the last 6 months, like of this 6 month period. So you shouldn't be surprised when this happens. Really, this lands on management for delaying the game to this point and releasing it next to these monstrosities that are going to just kind of stomp on it. It's too bad, but that's what's going to happen. If they knew what was good for them, they would delay it or move it forward to January. Move it to January, they'll have plenty of time, plenty of wiggle room. Push it back to March, plenty of wiggle room. But February, in the middle of all this, come on. What are we doing? And you can see right after that, so Kingdom Come on the 11th. Early access starts 13th or 14th, or 12th or 13th. We have these, I don't know what these are. AC Shadows, which whether you think it looks great or not, there will be a lot of discussion about it. So I think in terms of like earned media, it's going to be really hard to make a splash next to the tsunami that will be coverage of AC Shadows. Positive or negative, I think a lot of people will be talking about it. Date everything. That's that like dating simulator we saw. Yeah. Tomb Raider remastered. Okay. Avowed officially launches on the 18th. So it'll go on Game Pass right there. People will start playing that for a few days. They could probably finish it in 3 days, depending. But Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii launches a few days later. That I think maybe doesn't have that much overlap, but that's also going to be pretty big, I expect. And then the other big one, the other monster is Monster Hunter Wilds at the end of the month. And I don't know, do you guys know, are they doing early access for this? Is there like 5-day early access for the deluxe edition? Have they shown that? Does anybody know? Because I would imagine most people, once this comes out, most PC players are going to be dropping everything and jumping on that. No early access at all? Okay. Yeah. But I mean, the second this comes out, this is going to be all anybody's playing. Then we go into March, which we get Xenoblade, Tales of the Shire later in the month. Like, not a whole lot. But this is what I mean is like, Atomfall could be interesting. But this is what I mean. They just need to, frankly, in my opinion, boop Avowed by a couple weeks. A few weeks. Don't put it right here because that's going to be cannibalized by Monster Hunter. You push it to like mid-March, like the 18th. Put it out on the 18th. Delay it by a month. Do that. You'll be so happy. I'm telling you. Please. I know it's not a great look to delay it again, even after you're like already selling pre-orders and stuff. But I'm telling you guys, if you launch between these monsters, these behemoths, Kingdom Come, next to AC Shadows, shortly after we get Yakuza, and we also get Monster Hunter, like nobody's going to be jumping on Avowed. They're going to wait until March or April when it's slower, and they're going to play it then. So if you really want to sell that 5-day early access, delay the game just by a month, and you'll be the only one standing in a big void, and you'll be much happier. But will they do that? Probably not. But I mean, I know there's more. It's not as simple as just delay it. I know there's a lot more too. So what are you going to do? Anyway, there we go. We will shift into the next one. Let me catch up on these real quick. Anthony, thank you for that 10. Very generous. Didn't they say Avowed had a third person mode? Have they shown gameplay of that view? I do vaguely remember something about it. Yeah, they did confirm it. Third person gameplay. Third person mode. Yeah, like none of the trailers, I think, have really expressed a lot of this. Like all the combat is there. This was that deep dive that the game director, Carrie Patel, did. And like they did make a lot of improvements and stuff, but like it's just it's looking pretty clunky. Now that doesn't mean it's bad. That doesn't mean that's not gonna be good, but it also, like, you shouldn't be surprised when people are like, it just looks off, because that's what clunky is. The quest line they showed was interesting. There were at least a few different ways to do it. Do I just need to go and search the transcript? I think I do. Third. I want to find when they talked about it. Here we go. Yeah, here's where they do it.
Your narrative hub and also your upgrade hub. We can see here, I'll just call out.
Third person, yeah.
Yes, we do have third person. A lot of the footage we're going to see today is in first person, but we do have a third person option for players who prefer it. But yeah, in Party Camp, that's where you'll get to know your companions better. You can kind of get to know their backstories and sort of, get to know.
So they haven't done any deep dives or anything on third person, but it is there if you care about that, if that's like a deal breaker for you. So anyway, that's the tale of Concord, of Avowed. I'm just so used to whenever I sing about something, it's Concord. So there you go. Backstory sounds suspicious. Almost like characters in an RPG. They have stories? What is this? What is this woke garbage? Anyway. Where was I? Let's see. I read that one. I read that one. Okay. Boo boo. Thank you for the 5. Avowed seems like the type of game that will be buried on release, but it'll be considered 7, 8 out of 10 hidden gem a few years later. Yeah, what's frustrating me is that I feel like it's being sent out to be forgotten immediately because they're gonna sandwich it between monsters. Like, you will not overshadow some of these games it's right next to. And I'm sure if you're Obsidian, they're also frustrated because they're like, bro, give us a chance, please. But what are you gonna do? Like, it's not up to them, it's up to Xbox. So there's that. But maybe the other part of this could be that maybe the reason it's being put there is because they don't expect it to review that well. So it's one of those things where they're like, hey, we're just going to sandwich it between these things, because then we're not going to have a week of the story of the month being like, ooh, Xbox has another lackluster release. Maybe they're putting it there because they're hoping that it gets buried in discourse around all these other games and kind of forgotten, you know. But anyway, I see people calling it woke, and I don't know if they're joking or not. I honestly don't know what they would be referring to when they're saying that it looks woke. I mean, at this point, I feel like the term has lost all meaning, and I don't even know anymore. Like, is it because they show a female protagonist? Is that why? Is that our standard? I don't know. We're all joking. No, I know the people in this chat. I know the people in this chat are joking about it. Like, we meme on it a lot. But I mean, in like the comment sections of the video, like they just put that trailer out and people are like, wow, looks too woke for me. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, what do you mean? Now this, I could see you calling that. I'm kidding. It's Neil Druckmann. Neil, he's back. Oh man. Are we sure they're joking? I here on this stream, our chat tends to like poke and prod. Like, it's fine, whatever you want to label stuff, like, okay. But typically, like, when we try to go a little bit deeper than just label it something simple and then hand wave it away. Like, I'll have my little review for Dragon Age Veilguard out later today. And I know some people want to just like hand wave it away as like, well, it's woke, so it's bad. But I'm like, it's bad for a lot of reasons. Okay, there's a lot more than just that makes the game not very good. Like, there's many things that are going wrong within that. So I want to explore all of those reasons, not just have it, you know, sitting here. But anyway, where are we? Let's see. Parv, thank you for that. Avowed, biggest mistake was to change the art style to be more colorful, made it look generic. Yeah, I don't know why they made that shift. I think everybody loved the look of the first trailer, and then when we saw the second trailer, we were like, this is the same game? And I personally, I've not heard one person that was more positive about the new direction than the old one. Everybody I've heard talk about it is like, yep, they made a change, unfortunately. I don't know why they did it. So, what are you going to do? Let's talk about another one. Because this, I think could get... it could get sloppy, you know. Acer was here. Thank you for subbing over on Twitch. Thank you, my friend. A news story. An opinion piece from Sab Astley. New segment. A new opinion piece on IGN from Sab Astley says the blockbuster games bubble has burst. The AAA industry's survival may depend on smaller scale, creatively diverse games. Uh-oh, they said the thing. No, okay. Here's the thing as we go through this real quick. The obvious headline on this, like, they have a picture of Concord front and center, so it's clear like maybe they're suggesting that is part of what caused this. But I think we have to be more precise, because blockbuster, there's kind of two potential interpretations of the term that we'll get into, but I think historically, video game publishers and these executives have thought, if we spend $200 million on a game, it'll be successful because we spent $200 million on it. Kind of like that Marvel approach where they're like, hey, we made a superhero movie and spent a lot of money on it, so it'll make $1 billion, right? And that was kind of true for a while. Like for probably 2014 through 18, almost everything they put out did like $1 billion and just printed money. And they weren't even particularly good movies. They could just do whatever and it would just make tons of money. Now, in the gaming space especially, that is not true. It's not true in media in general anymore. But in gaming especially, it's not true. We've seen huge reboots of franchises that have gone nowhere. New IP that have gone nowhere. Forspoken, they spent like $200 million on that. They thought that was going to be their next big franchise. And it was a colossal failure. The studio shut down. Everything collapsed after that. And that was a new IP. They thought that would be super successful. Saints Row reboot, a different company, but still they thought that that was going to be a $200 million reboot of a previously beloved franchise. And they thought that this was going to kickstart a new trilogy of games. And it was going to be the next big thing. They're going to make $1 billion off of it. It was going to be great. And they were so out of touch. Reportedly, they were shell-shocked at the response. They were shocked. People found it so cringy and so distasteful, which is hilarious because, again, like a lot of these stories, it makes you wonder if they talked to literally anybody, because any normal quote unquote gamer could have warned them that it was going to end this way. Same with Concord, where they spend anywhere. The reporting is all over the place. Some people are saying it's confirmed at 200 million, 400 is not accurate. Other people are saying no, 400 is accurate, but that includes marketing costs. Others are saying no, it's 400, but that doesn't include the studio purchase. Whatever the number is, it's a lot of freaking money for a game that frankly never should have been greenlit to begin with. I don't think any amount of money was going to make Concord a success. It just was an idea that was not interesting or compelling. It was always going to end this way, in my opinion. Okay. And so the idea perhaps that blockbusters, like those big budget games that are, or projects that are made by committee, those are definitely, that bubble has burst. I think that's absolutely true. But the idea that big budget games, period, will fail is not accurate. Are they riskier now? Sure. But I think it more has to do with the fact that you cannot design games in this corporate kind of by checklist approach anymore. You just can't do it. It will lose you lots and lots of money. But let's see what they say. The video game industry is currently in the thralls of the paradox. For players, it could be argued we're in one of the greatest times for gaming. There's incredible breadth of choice across consoles, handhelds, PCs, made ever more accessible through gaming subscription services like Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. But from an industry perspective, things could not be more dire. More and more studios seem to be closing. Original IPs are being scrapped mid-development, and vast legions of game developers, programmers, artists, and animators have been cut loose. To put it simply, the AAA video game bubble has finally burst. Yes. I mean, it's also the tech bubble in general. A lot of tech people got laid off. My dad notably got cut off or laid off like 2-3 months ago. And he works in tech. So it's happening like all over the place, all over the tech sector. If you've not seen, like, look up on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or something, videos of like comp sci graduates trying to find jobs. Look at the videos of people going on like job fairs, trying to find a job in computer science. It's crazy. More than anything, I think what happened was through the PS4 generation, studios generally knew what their customers wanted. Like, there were flops that came out, don't get me wrong, but it felt like games typically were more iterative improvements. Like, they were smaller steps forward in terms of like risks taken, but they were what you generally were looking for. And then COVID happened. And if you don't know what happened with COVID, basically interest rates plummeted to try and stimulate the economy. And there also was a lot of stimulus cash pumped into all sorts of different companies. But to put it simply, because of low interest rates, various stimulus and government programs internationally, not just in the US, but internationally, you know, governments were handing out checks to try and keep businesses going. There was a lot of free money going around. And when there's a lot of free or very, very cheap money, what you see is companies come in and they will start to greenlight tons of projects. And part of what encouraged that was that people were working from home or were at home in lockdowns. And so guess what? They were spending a lot more time and a lot more money on video games. So these executives saw, wait, we have a huge stockpile of cheap cash that we can spend on greenlighting new studios, new projects, new whatever, new IP, whatever it is. And then we also have customer spending that's skyrocketing. If they spend this percentage, this amount proportional on a brand new AAA $200 million project, we're going to make billions. So let's greenlight all these projects. And as long as these people spend the same proportional amount of money as they are right now, we're going to make bank. And everybody did this. Everybody started greenlighting these massive projects, spending tons of money on ideas that frankly weren't that interesting or compelling. And now we're getting to the point where interest rates have gone up. Inflation has gone up, meaning people are expecting more money being paid to them. So they're asking for raises. It's growing more expensive to manage individual properties and studios. And so layoffs are happening. Notably, across the past 2 years, over 23,000 jobs in the video game industry were lost, with a staggering 6,000 in January of this year alone. Over 30 different dev studios have ceased operations, including Arcane Austin, Volition, and most recently Firewalk. What's worse, this trend only shows signs of continuing rather than diminishing. And, I mean, it's important to note the three that they point out. Arcane Austin, they did Redfall. Volition, they did Saints Row Reboot. Firewalk, they did Concord. They all did colossal, disastrous flops. And so they were cut. That's kind of what happens. So I think that it's a very interesting thing that happened. There's a lot of reasons for why all of this has happened, but I think in many ways it's a correction. I'm not so sure if it's a crash. People are still buying games. They just are more careful with what games they choose to buy. And people don't have as much money floating around. They aren't getting $1,200 stimmy checks. So they're more precise with where they choose to deploy their money and what games they choose to buy and how they engage with it. They're not willing to just go take a $60 gamble and risk on a AAA game hoping it's good. Like they're just not. And I'm sorry that's frustrating for big studios like Ubisoft or EA or whatever, but that's just what happens. I mean, when quality is in question. So again, I'm not so sure if I will say that it's a crash or like a bubble popping. If anything, it seems to me more like a correction where the very special circumstances of the COVID era are now being kind of fully phased out. And it's clear you can't just make any video game with cheap money and expect it to be successful. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Just 5 years ago, AAA projects' average budget ranged from 50 to 150 million. Today, the minimum average is 200 million. Call of Duty's new benchmark is 300 million per release, with Activision admitting in the Competition and Market Authority report on AAA development that now it takes the efforts of 1.5 studios just to complete the annual Call of Duty title. It's far from just Call of Duty facing ballooning costs. In the same CMA report, an anonymous publisher admits that development costs for one of its franchises reached $660 million, with $550 million of marketing costs on top of that. That is a $1.2 billion game. To put that into perspective, Minecraft, the world's best-selling video game of all time, has, of last year, only achieved $3 billion. It took 12 years to reach that figure, having launched in 2011. The realities of these budgets mean entire publishing houses are massively overstretched and are now desperately facing the consequences. If their developers' huge projects don't make money immediately, they must die. Sega's sci-fi shooter super game, Hyenas, was in development at Creative Assembly for 7 years, and just as it was publicly playable for the first time via alpha testing, it was canceled. The reason? Sega preemptively concluded Hyenas couldn't make its money back. Which, it's funny that it took one alpha playtest to realize that, when most people probably could have told you that. But anyway, Blizzard's survival project Odyssey had a similar trajectory. Odyssey would have been the studio's first new IP in 8 years, and given the market's love for games like Minecraft and Rust, such a game titan should have undoubtedly made waves with this project. When Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, though, the project was swiftly killed with little reason publicly given beyond inconveniences and switching engines to increase player count on the servers. Oops. The current AAA publishing cull reflects a deep-rooted fear to engage with anything new and original. I think a lot of it is, it's not necessarily new and original. It is that they don't know what players really want. And I think part of it is because they have the people greenlighting these things that are really out of touch and don't know what they're doing. So you either end up with a Saints Row reboot, which is a new direction in the worst possible way, or you have something like a lot of Ubisoft games where they're just chasing trends. Like just a week or two ago, they launched an NFT game. It's like, guys, you are years behind. Like that wasn't even popular when it was popular and you're doing it now. Like, what are you doing? So I don't think it's necessarily a fear of just new original stuff. I think it's a fear of, well, it's born out of a lack of confidence in their ability to develop quality stuff. Because what do you see on the flip side? Like you see Larian spending millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on their next project. You see CDPR doubling down. They're hiring more people. They're opening new studios because they know what they're doing and they're very confident they know what players want and that they can deliver on it. And I think most other people are confident in it. But what you have is these publishers and developers that don't really have that strong creative vision. They're just kind of floating, trying to find the next trend to latch onto and grift off of. And they aren't sure what it is, because it used to be, yeah, you spent $50 million trying to latch onto this trend. Didn't really work. Try the next one. Nowadays, games are so expensive to make, you can't have a failure. Like you literally cannot afford to fail even once. These examples of current AAA publishing cull reflect a deep-rooted fear to engage with anything new and original, with publishers perhaps more risk-averse than ever to stray out of their established IP safety bars. Even that, though, is not helping, because even games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for example, did fine, but they were expecting that to be a blowout success. Or Final Fantasy 16 is perhaps the better example, where that was a game they spent $200 million on, and it did not reach their financial targets. Like, that's an established franchise, one of the most recognizable franchises in the industry, and it didn't work. Like, it just didn't connect with people for whatever reason. So it's not even clear that sticking to your known IP help. As they say, but even well-known IP could be worth millions in sales and revenue are being left to rot. Despite owning Infamous, Jak and Daxter, Killzone, Resistance, and Sly Cooper, to name a few entries in PlayStation's sprawling dormant library, Sony CFO Hiroki Totoki recently claimed that the company lacks enough original IP to consolidate itself as a true gaming powerhouse. I think it's how they value these franchises, and I hate to be this guy, but for modern 2024 gamers, I don't think Jak and Daxter has that much brand value. I know for some people it's very nostalgic, but I don't think like a reboot of Jak and Daxter all of a sudden magically blows up. Killzone, maybe if it was done really well, but even then it's really hard to compete in the first-person shooter space. Resistance, Sly Cooper, I don't think those do disproportionately well. Infamous, I do think could stand to be more successful because it's much more like visually striking, and that seems to be a big thing for a lot of PlayStation games, is if you can have that really unique visual presentation, it can help a lot. But it's really hard to say whether that could blow up and be successful. What Satoki may mean is that Sony's older catalog of library IP does not fit with the mold of what every publisher has been mindlessly chasing for the better part of a decade. The next big live service money printer. It's difficult to imagine much fanfare for a Sly Cooper reboot where Bentley and Murray are purchased to play. Grand heists are season pass bonuses, and worlds are delivered half-baked instead of fully formed. It's undeniable that on some level the video game market has changed forever because of the live service model. New video games don't just have to compete with new rivals, but somehow find space in an increasingly crowded market dominated by decade-old titles like Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto Online, games which will continue to hold higher player counts than many of the top-sold games of the last few years. But live service titles require investment of not only money, but time to find their audience, neither of which was afforded to Fireworks Studios' Concord. Yeah, but it's also, I mean, I also don't think time would have fixed Concord. I don't think if they like still had it up and available, I don't think it would have found a ton of success. Just because like these games that are competitive and are PvP, you need other players. And already when I played it at launch, there was a problem where there weren't enough players to even like matchmake quickly. We had one where we were trying to get into their like second or third different game mode, and matchmaking timed out like on launch day because there weren't enough players playing it. Like if at that point you're screwed. Could easily fix that with bots though. It's true. I do think bots would at least make it feel more populated. But I think if you're really hoping to have a more competitive game, I don't think that works, you know? I don't think so. Norsky, thank you for that. A thing that is rarely mentioned is performance, making it prohibitively expensive to run the game because a $1,000 PC doesn't cut it, combined with $70 $70 to $80 price hike. Yeah, I mean, quality all over the place is a concern here. Like it's a big weak point. All of these games, there's just question marks all over the place with it, which lowers confidence in the consumer. And other pieces, the other kind of piece here, we'll see if they mention it, is something like Game Pass. How many times have you heard a game reviewer say, it's not worth the price point now, but if it comes available on PlayStation Plus or Game Pass later, then you could jump on it. Or a deep, deep sale. Like, that's a big part of it too, is once that value proposition has been shifted and there's other options than just buy it now or buy it on a sale later, like that confuses it even more. The recent fate of Concord's Firewalk Studio serves as a microcosm for the increasingly bleak outlook for the next few years in video game development. Concord was Firewalk's first game. It's baby in many ways. An 8-year development bolstered by Sony's acquisition with a reported cash injection of $200 million plus. PlayStation reportedly believed it had the next Star Wars-esque franchise on its hands, but the game struggled significantly across both its beta testing period and launch, and was soon completely shut down by Sony, with Firewalk closed for business shortly after. Concord's downfall happened faster than any other failed game of the live service era. Yeah. And then at the very least, they acknowledged that this isn't going to work, and they just cut the cord before it was too late. Something like Suicide Squad still up and running. I'm glad it's not lost media like Concord now, but it's not really lost because people still have it installed, but like you can't play it. You get what I mean? But I would not be surprised if after season 4 launches for Suicide Squad, that also goes offline. They probably, hopefully, launch the offline patch and then do it, because they say that's still scheduled to come out by the end of this year, but we'll see. Oh, that's good. They cut the Concord. I see what you did, Shepard. That's good. That was very good. Ooh, clever. Just a decade earlier, though, a similar disaster was plaguing Blizzard's Diablo 3. The crippling Error 37 message made the game unplayable, and fans worldwide decried the absolute failure to launch. Dude, that Error 37, this is a deep cut. This is a very deep cut. Okay. Are you ready? This is from an era where before this guy lost his mind. Do you guys remember this viral video from May of 2012? When Boogie was playing his character Francis. And it was Era 37.
This is a message to the people that work for Blizzard Entertainment, specifically the Diablo 3 crew. I wasn't going to make a video today because I didn't think anybody'd see it. I thought everybody'd be out playing Diablo 3, and I thought I would be playing Diablo 3, you'd be playing Diablo 3, but nobody's fucking playing Diablo 3! Because you got your servers down, the servers are down, and every time I try to log in, all I get is fucking error 37, error 37, I keep trying to log in and I get error 37! Error 37! Why the fuck is it 37? What the fuck are the other 36? Shouldn't this be error number 1? Error number 1, I can't log the fuck in! Holy
Old school Boogeyman before he totally went insane. Wow. Yeah, that video did 5 million views last year. 5 million views in 12 years. That's crazy. A different era. Tell you what. But that Era 37, that's what that made me think of. Which is why I think it's important for us to remember that, like, we have recency bias where it feels at any given moment that the world is ending and like things are worse than ever before. You know, it's standard affair. Pretty typical. Like, I'm sure we all have parents like that, you know, like growing up, your parents were like, yep, it's only a matter of time before the revolution starts. They're like, honestly, I think World War III is right around the corner. Every single time. I remember after, like, I was 11 years old or whatever, and Obama won, and I had like a family member, and I remember our pastor rambling about how like it was only a matter of time before they started rounding up children to like send to re-education camps and stuff. Like, I told you guys, some of the places I grew up around were like little out there, but every generation it's like this. Hopefully not to that extreme for your family, but every generation everybody's like, oh, everything is the worst it's ever been. And it's like, not really. Like, even back in 2012 there were colossal disastrous launches of live service and of big AAA grade games where like you just can't log in on launch day. Like, that's really, really bad. Really bad. Soon after the game's real money auction house left players with a foul taste in their mouth, and Diablo 3's reputation was roasting in the flames. But rather than abandoning it, Blizzard not only repaired the game, removed the auction house, but fundamentally upgraded and evolved it into Diablo 3 2.0 with its Reaper of Souls expansion, finally cementing its comeback as a brilliant game. Similar to the story we've seen with CD Projekt Red's hard-fought battle to win Cyberpunk players back. And that's true. It does take time, but also the key difference with those two examples, with Diablo 3 and with Cyberpunk, people wanted those games. The reason they were so like disastrous was because like people wanted those games, and when they went disastrously at launch, they were frustrated because like they wanted that. With something like Concord, nobody wanted it. It was amazing because like we would do videos on it, or I would stream playing it. Nobody was interested in playing it themselves. They just wanted to see the dumpster fire. And it's why I said, like, for Concord specifically, it's kind of a weird example. But people were rooting for that game to fail because of what it represented, because it was an example of Sony's pursuit of live service money at the cost of like creative integrity in a lot of people's mind. Same with Suicide Squad, where it was the failure of an amazing studio that was previously beloved, and it was a selling out that people wanted to see collapse and burn. And so there was a lot of engagement and discourse around it, but nobody actually wanted to play the game. You know, they because of what it represented. Like, that's what it was. So they continue. If the alleged $200 million budget plus budget, had been lowered, the project's direction refocused as a spark for a new universe rather than a big bang. It doesn't seem hard to believe that Concord may have found its audience with some Blizzard or CDPR-like shepherding from Sony. Many projects akin to Concord could have been the medium-sized success they deserve to be, if not for the financial corners these publishers have found themselves backed into. If everything is bigger and bolder, who possibly has the time to play more than 1 or 2 games each year? That's a good question. Not that such financial corners or anything publishers should always attempt to navigate. Gamers are beginning to wane interest in these monolithic projects. You need only look at the top rated games for 2024 list, whereas 2023 award lists were littered with AAA games from 500 strong studios. 2024's show a revitalized hunger for smaller, more independent spirit. Arcade machine throwback UFO 50, Metroidvania-esque Animal Well, poker roguelike Bellatro, I don't know how you pronounce it, and text-based pixel adventure The Crimson Diamond are just some of the games you'll see appearing again and again on these lists. Despite their numerous differences, they share a commonality, a smaller, more refined experience that recalls earlier eras of gaming where marriages of mechanics and storytelling were key through technological craftiness rather than literal country-sized game worlds. The nostalgia they create for older video game generations are central to the heart of their creation. They just want you to pick them up and have a good time now and again. The slow but increasingly clear pivot of video game audiences to potential indie game renaissance is a clear message to publishers that if everything is bigger and bolder, who possibly has time to play more than 1 or 2 games each year? But perhaps more than anything, it feels like these big studios, at least to me, it feels like a lot of these studios are not interested in creating games that I want. They're interested in creating games that they think I should want. You know, it's like the old example of like, who asked for this? Why did you think I'd like this? Suicide Squad being the main example here. Where they had a very, very easy layup to just make playable characters that people were interested in. But instead they create characters and a story and a campaign nobody asked for. Like, oh, you love this, you love Batman? We're going to literally shoot him in the face. You love the Flash? Cool. We're going to kill him and then literally piss on his dead body. You think I'm making that up? You didn't watch the cutscenes from Suicide Squad. I am not joking. That happens in the game. It's craziness. And I know people, you know, you might throw out the term woke, you might throw out the term virtue signaling or toxic positivity, whatever the cause of it is. There has been a pivot where people that are making these huge multi-$100 million games, they either don't care what the core fan base and player base and what their customers want, or they have active contempt for what you want, and they're going to give you something they think you need instead, which is what's particularly insulting. It's like, oh, you find this character obnoxious and annoying? Sounds like a you problem. It's like, no, maybe they just suck. Maybe they're just not interesting. Maybe you're the problem, and that's why nobody bought it. Bust a nut. Don't these publishers have market research teams? What data were they analyzing? This all goes back to a core problem that has plagued not just video games, but also TV and movies and everything. It's even seeped into like our politics. So, and I don't want to get like super political because I'm a gaming YouTuber and nobody should care what I think about politics. But there's been a premise for years has been that you have all these little bubbles of people. You have the white guys. You have the college white woman, you have Hispanic women, you have black women, you have Hispanic men, you have the gay population, you have transgender players, you have Asian players, you have all these people in different bubbles, And their goal is to try and make a game that features little bits of each of these bubbles. And their goal is based on the premise that if you appeal to each bubble, members of those bubbles will feel represented and therefore come and buy your game and play it. That's like Saints Row Reboot, where all of a sudden it was like, they had this thing where they're like, oh, all the characters are young adults who are fresh out of college and have student loan debt, eat the rich. I can't afford my own apartment. I have to live with roommates. Isn't that relatable, fellow kids? And the idea was, if you do appeal to those people and have things that are similar according to the metrics, according to the market research, those people will come and buy your game because they'll feel represented by the diverse cast. The problem is, at least in video games, it seems, people don't give a shit if they're represented. They want to play as a big, crazy Greek god killing other gods. They want to go and play as an alien hunter going and exploring space. They want to play as just some dude in a zombie apocalypse, even though zombies are not, super represented or whatever. It doesn't matter. They want to go and play that. They want escapism. They want to play a game and get away from reality. They don't want to play a microcosm of reality. And it's just a whole concept that was built on a faulty premise, which is that those people would come out if you had checked off their box. And they just don't. They just don't. I think with like Lawless in Suicide Squad, I guess the idea was, if we have a confident, assertive black female playable character, black females will come and play our game and buy it and enjoy it. It clearly didn't happen. Like, otherwise the game might be doing better. Same with other characters, like by having Mrs. Freeze, where they have like here it is. It's our video we did on it, where we're playing through it. Yeah, look at that. Luke needs a haircut. Where I guess the idea was, if we have her, then it's going to make the game more appealing to gay females, I guess, is the approach. But I mean, not only am I not sure how big the population of like gay female scientist gamers are, it also just, like, when that's all you're doing and that's your prime directive, it also like actively turns off people because they know what you're doing. Like, they're not stupid. Like, we all know what you're doing. We all know what you're doing. It's the same thing with like Ubisoft with Yasuke, where they're like, no, we're not trying to pander to anybody. And then Yasuke comes on screen and they have this like hip hop inspired music that starts playing. And we're like, you're going to tell me with a straight face you're not trying to pander? Like, right? Like, really? Everybody knows what you're doing, and you're basically calling us stupid by pretending as though you're not. So I think there's just many layers of this that all stack into it. But more than anything, at the end of the day, gamers just want to play a good video game. Gamers just want to play a good video game. It doesn't matter what the playable character is. It doesn't matter what or like what the bad guy looks like, or what they sound like, what their accent is, what amount of melanin they have in their skin. It doesn't matter. They just want to play a good video game. And if that video game happens to have a diverse cast, cool. Maybe that's even like bonus points. It's like, oh, it's a really good game and it has a really diverse cast. Awesome. Cool. That's great. But you got to get that first part right. You got to get the good game right. And it feels like so many of these big launches have been built around the presumption that you don't really have to worry about that. You can put the other thing, you can put the cart before the horse. You can focus on how many people we've appealed to, how many different bubbles we've captured. And then the video game part of it comes after the fact. Which is why, like, for Lawless as a playable character in Suicide Squad, Lawless's whole thing is like gravity manipulation. where like she can like open black holes and stuff. So what would you expect in a video game if you can open a black hole? You would expect like open a black hole, all the enemies get pulled into it, and then you can throw like grenades in, you can do this and that and deal lots of damage, easy peasy. But what does she do? It's just a gigantic grenade. She like tosses it down and it blows up. That's her black hole ability. It's like gameplay and the game side of this was such a low priority. You wrote in this other stuff where she's like manipulating black holes and gravity and stuff, but the gameplay was such a low priority, you didn't even put that in the game. You just reskinned a grenade. Like, it's so stupid. And it's frankly not surprising that so many of these games that don't prioritize gameplay and the game first end up really, really struggling. And I think for a lot of people, the feeling has been that these big studios, they don't really care about the game first. They're trying to design something by committee or whatever else, and they thought they could just do it that way, but whoever their advisors are, their directors are, their executive marketing people are, they clearly have no idea what they are doing. So long, I mean, is this good for the player? So long as the shift now goes from just throw money at whatever, and as long as our marketing team says we're appealing to the widest group of people, as long as we move away from that, because that clearly doesn't make good video games, and we're moving towards prioritizing quality first and foremost, then it's a win. And this is why like the free market, it can be a very powerful thing. It's why I've said before, I'm not too worried about like activist writers and stuff in the industry, because they tend to not be good writers, which is why they're not writers. They're activists first. Like if they were good writers, they would just be writers. But if they're activists in the role of a writer, they're probably not great writers. And so you get games like Dustborn, which are hilariously terrible, that lose tons and tons of money. So in general, like they tend to equalize themselves because the free market punishes crap and tends to reward quality in the long run. So I think we're seeing, you know, a big correction where a lot of this stuff and the reckless spending and greenlighting of projects that happened right before COVID and then right after COVID and during, I think a lot of that's coming to an end, and the industry is going to look a lot different in 3, 4, 5 years when we start to see the games that are coming out after this kind of culling of really crappy projects. And I, for one, can't wait for it, because I think start of next generation, we're going to start to get some games that feel much more like the early 2010s. I think you're going to see a return to that type of thing. And you're already seeing groups and some of those like activist types starting to freak out because they feel like this might swing the pendulum the other way, where it's like games will start to go back to everybody's, you know, ripped and super vascular and masculine, and then all the women are wearing, you know, dressed like Tifa. And I don't think we'll go quite that far like the late 2000s, but I do think you'll start to see a lot of these studios trying to play up the core audience a lot more, which historically in the gaming industry, it tends to be a lot of young men, and they're going to really try to lock that in, because shocker, when most of your customers, like 90+% are young men, and by some metrics, for some games, it's like 98% young men. If those people feel like you have disdain for them, they're not going to buy your game. And that's kind of what happened with Suicide Squad. And I mean, you shouldn't be surprised when that happens.
Too Strong Gaming is now a member.
Thank you, Too Strong Gaming. Appreciate you. Thank you. Clem, thank you for the 5. I'm an exterminator, and I felt very represented in Space Marine 2. It was nice. Yeah, who knew? Who knew that was like the... They're like Yeah, our game mainly is targeting, exterminators, and we're really trying to appeal to people who hate bugs. Oh yeah. Oh, see, that's very positive, very uplifting. Steel Bones, thank you for the 10. Did you see Arkham Shadows director acknowledges the positive side of fan backlash for it being VR? I did not see that, but Arkham Shadows, it's a great game. It's another good example of one of those games where it's like, I think they framed it poorly.
The Appetite is now a member.
Thank you.
Almost 2 years here.
Oh,
Love to see it.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. I was in the audience at Summer Game Fest when they announced Arkham Shadow. And dude, it was so freaking awkward because they have the stage, it's like stage, and then they have rows of seats up here, rows here, and then they have these diagonal rows of seats off on the sides, and then there's an aisle that goes between these. And I was sat right here. And the Arkham Shadows team, they were all wearing t-shirts. They were all wearing their Arkham Shadow game t-shirts. And they were all sat right here. All in this row. And they were so excited. And little Jeff Keighley, he gets on stage, and you remember what he did? He was like, and it's happening. A new game in the Batman, whatever, or in a beloved franchise. Here we go. And the trailer comes up, and the trailer's like, new Batman Arkham, whatever. Batman Arkham Shadows. And everyone's like, oh, the whole crowd, everybody gasps. Everyone's, oh, no way. After Suicide Squad, they already have this lined up. This is great. And then it shows MetaQuest. I have never in my life experienced such a collective sigh of disappointment where everyone in this entire theater collectively, oh, it was so freaking awkward. Because again, I'm looking at the team and these poor guys, they're really excited. By all accounts, they have a really good game on their hands, and everybody just it was so awkward. Now, to their credit, it seems like the game actually ended up being really, really good. I bought it. It's on my MetaQuest there. I just haven't played it yet. I need to. I really need to. But it's by all accounts that I've seen, it's a really good game. But it was just one of those things where it was the way it was phrased and presented made it seem like new Arkham game that's on VR. And it made everyone really disappointed. If they had started with VR on MetaQuest 3 and then they did the trailer, I think that would have gone over better. At least there wouldn't have been the hype and then the low. At least then there would have been okay, don't get your hopes up too much. Okay, it's a VR game and that's it. Yeah. Do you not have phones? Yeah, it's like revealing a big new Diablo game and then saying that it's not coming to PC or consoles or whatever. It's just on mobile. It's a little funny. Yeah. It was, I felt so bad for them though. They were so excited and then it was just such a letdown, man. Oh. But it seems like it was good. Seems like it was well received. It's reviewed really well. Are you guys gonna watch the Mike Tyson fight tonight on Netflix? Are any of you guys gonna watch it? It's gonna be 30 seconds, right? For sure. It's on Netflix. If you already have Netflix, it's just, that's what it is. He's gonna let him win. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, boxing is probably 85% muscle memory. It just is. A lot of fighting in general is muscle memory. And yeah, Tyson is almost 60, but decades and decades of world-class like muscle memory. I don't know if you can shake that, man. I really don't know. It's a YouTube stunt. Oh, for sure. Like it's a stunt, but you got to give to be fair, you got to give Jake Paul a little credit cuz he found a way. He's like, everybody on the internet hates me. How can I still make money though? I know. What if I go into a business where my haters will pay to watch me get beat up? And then my few fans will also pay to watch me hopefully win. But either way, my haters and my fans will give me money because everybody wants to see me get beat up. It's kind of brilliant when you think about it. Really, it's kind of brilliant. I think it's officially sanctioned though. I think it's an official, like an official fight. It affects Mike's record, which is insane. But if that's true, like it's not rigged. I know it's easy to be like, yeah, it's rigged. And but depending on how it works out, I mean, it might be. But time will tell. But I'm guessing it doesn't make it out of the first. It's only 2-minute rounds, but I mean, I'm guessing that one of them's gonna get smushed. You can't even bet the fight on StubHub, really? Really? I would have guessed that they would let you bet on it. What's their excuse for not letting you bet on it? I don't know. I thought Tyson was guaranteed 20 million. I mean, I would imagine they're going to make lots of money. If any 58-year-old dude is doing a boxing match, they should make good money. What's crazy is like, you remember the Wings and Boogie fight that was so hilariously bad? It lasted like all of 15 seconds. Dude, I forgot how stupid it looked. It's so bad. Full fight highlights, 90 seconds long. It was literally the heaviest boxing match of all time. Like together they weighed like 800 pounds, over 800 pounds. And so it was like the heaviest super heavyweight fight in the history of boxing. But like, what do you think that they made for doing this? Like relatively well-known YouTubers doing a big fight. I was shocked to find out that they really didn't make all that much compared to what you'd think. Is that Tipster? No, I don't think Tipster could get in there. I think Tipster's bigger than Boogie. Isn't he? I don't know. But look, he's just like playing with his food. Oh man. He's like, you gotta face him, bro. It was also, dude, I forgot about this. It was so awkward. The pants they got Boogie were way too big. So you see this? This is like Scotch tape. Or like masking tape. They had to go up to him because in the middle of the fight, his pants started falling down. And then they had to like tape him up to hold him up. It's a little funny. It was a little funny. Oh, man. But yeah, they each made 10 grand. And there was some debate. People were saying there was debate over whether their flights were separately covered or if that 10K went towards their flights and lodging and stuff. It's not really clear because the fight was in London, so they had to fly out. Like Boogie's not even punching, bro. Man. Look, everyone's just like, this is getting sad. It's not a fight. Like you're just kind of oh man, it was pretty funny. He's like, no, bro, you're on another planet right now. He's like, what? I was doing great. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. Oh, man. It was entertaining. That's what it's about, right? It was supposed to be entertaining. And they achieved that. They did it. But yeah, after all that, they got like, I think 10K, and it wasn't even clear if that covered everything. And I would have thought like relatively well-known YouTubers and streamers, if you're going to beat each other up, you'd think that you'd get a little bit more for it, but I guess there's just not that much money in very overweight people hitting each other. I would have thought there was a lot more, but not really. Wings. Ref, ban anyone in the crowd that's not cheering me on. Yeah, ban anyone telling me to punch. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to fight. How dare you? Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful industry we live in. Isn't it great? Isn't it just marvelous? Luke Jor fight. Jor's tall, but I probably weigh twice what he weighs. Or what was that? What was that thing Ludwig was doing? Was it like, I think it was like chess boxing or something, where like they would box and then go play chess for a little bit. I mean, I do well at that. I'd do well at that. Luke versus DSP. I think they offered DSP a boxing match. I think Keem did. He like offered, I don't know how much it was or what it was, but they offered him a chance to fight. They offered him a bunch of money. But he said no. They also offered money to let him on LolCow Live. It was like 50 grand as a signing bonus to do the show, and he turned it down. Which like, I in terms of views and stuff, and subs and everything, I am a larger creator than Wing or than DSP by a good amount. And I cannot fathom being offered 50 grand as a signing bonus for a podcast. Like, that's crazy. Was it 50 for all three? I think maybe later they like got sloppy with the language, but yeah, it's either way, tens of thousands of dollars. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. GSP versus Luke. Oh, dude, no. GSP, even GSP at like 50 years old or whatever he is now would massacre most people. I mean, certainly average people, even fighters. I think GSP is still way up there. Uh-oh. You ready? Do we have to talk about this now too? Uh-oh. Breaking news. Breaking news! Oh! Everyone get scared. Nothing surprising here, but it's still depressing. Ah! Fresh off the presses. Moments ago, Todd Black over at Games at Game Ranks. I almost said Game X Rank. I don't know why, but Game Ranks. He just posted an article saying Assassin's Creed Shadows will apparently have aggressive microtransactions planned via Battle Pass. I have news for you, my friend. It's been rumored for years. I literally think years. I think 2 years now, that it will feature multiple battle passes. A battle pass for the base game, and then other things they're calling like, what do they call it? They call it like journeys or something like that. It basically mini battle passes for the game that unlock like cosmetics and stuff. It's a whole thing. I think they denied the rumors on that on the Discord, Luke. Hopefully. Well, to be clear, it's not within the game. It's within the Animus hub, if that changes it. My understanding is that the plans, at least for years, were not to have the battle passes within the game, but within the Animus hub that launches the game, if that makes sense. They're not doing a season pass anymore. But my understanding is after Star Wars Outlaws, they delayed the game, and a lot of the work they're doing right now is redoing a lot of the monetization and redoing a lot of this stuff. Because I think they know that this will go over very poorly. If the game already is kind of scandalous and then it also is over monetized out the ass, I think it's going to go bad. The development of AC Shadows hasn't been the smoothest around, and both gamers and Ubisoft knows it. In fact, the game was supposed to be out in a few days until Ubisoft realized it needed more time for various reasons to fix and refine the game, and that led to them pushing the game back to February. It's sad to see that happen, but it's better than having to fix a broken game at launch. Gamers are tired of that, especially given recent titles on multiple platforms that have been that way. However, another thing that gamers are tired of is microtransactions. Sadly, Ubisoft isn't going to hold back on those. If anything, the game is getting more aggressive with them. This reveal came via a data mine that happened, and it showcased that Assassin's Creed Shadows will have a kind of battle pass that'll have players unlock or buy special cosmetic items for the two main characters, Yasuke and Naoe. While we won't get into details about what you'll find, we will say that if you've played certain FPS titles and other games that revolve around cosmetics and microtransactions, you know exactly what you'll find here. New outfits, weapon skins, mounts, etc. The system to buy all these has been described as one similarly used by Activision, which explains quite a bit. Just as bad, Ubisoft is apparently doing collaboration items with companies like Red Bull. I didn't know that one. That's news to me. Red Bull skins. Yeah, because Red Bull was totally around in feudal Japan. While microtransactions have been in past Ubisoft games, this seems like a blatant attempt to try and cash in with players, even though gamers have said they don't want this kind of thing. Just look at Bandai Namco with its prize fighting game series. You'll see how microtransactions have been pushed way too far. The other thing to note here is that since the images of these items have already been detailed and designed, that means Ubisoft was working on them before the main game was finished and refined. The company was apparently more focused on its extra content than the main content, which really speaks to Ubisoft's mindset in recent years. It also should be noted that the team behind the new game asked higher-ups for more time to finish the game earlier in the year, but they were denied. Many feel that fans forced Ubisoft's hands when they noticed historical inaccuracies, which would have made the game laughable at launch. I mean, they weren't. You know me, I love dogging on Ubisoft, but like the historical inaccuracies were like a banner in a piece of concept art that was taken from like a reenactment troupe. And like, I don't think 99.99999% of players would have ever noticed something like that. And then there's other things like suggesting that Yasuke was like a full-on samurai. That's been done in other games and movies and TV shows and stuff. I think the average consumer wouldn't find it. They might be like, huh, that's weird, but I don't think a lot of them would have found it super bad. But there were other things like problems with some of the architecture at times. But apparently those were already being fixed, so it's not super clear. But they say Ubisoft needs to get its priorities straight and in a hurry. I mean, the Red Bull thing is pretty freaking funny. I mean, that's pretty funny. That's pretty hilarious. I had no idea, but yeah, the leak goes into all this, the data mine thing, 20 levels or tiers, all rewards are free. It's probably collected by just 900 or 9,050 keys can be used in exchange for new content. Tatara coal, lacquered metal. You get glitch, blue light of the blade seems come from disappointing time, but their impact is ageless. Disappeared into Azure intricate outfit. I mean, and they go on to show pictures of the data mined stuff, mounts and stuff. Some of it which already has been seen. But like, here's the thing again. This is a single player game. The approach for Ubisoft with Valhalla, or I'm so sorry.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
They their approach was to turn Valhalla into a live service game, basically, where you engage with it over years and years and years, and then they can sell expansions, as you would typically see with some single player games, but also like a lot of cosmetics and stuff like that. And it worked really well for Valhalla. I mean, that made more revenue than any game that they've ever done before, as far as I'm aware. It made $1 billion within like its first year or so. So it made a lot of money. It made a lot of money. And I think that they were hoping to do the same thing here. And frankly, if they're all just cosmetic, if it's just cosmetics and skins for weapons and mounts and stuff, I don't care about that. Like, do I need a Red Bull skin on my assassin? No. But clearly it's not targeting me. It's targeting the people who would buy that type of thing. So as long as it's not affecting gameplay, I can't be too concerned or pissy about it. I still don't like it, but it doesn't, like, hopefully it doesn't mean that everything else inherently sucks. I see you say that they confirmed in their Discord that it's free. Yeah, so the battle passes are like, my understanding of what's been found so far is that there is like one battle pass. I guess we need to be clear about this because, yeah, a lot of battle passes don't work this way. My understanding is that there's one big overarching battle pass in the hub that will get like maybe different cosmetics or skins, or maybe little tags or like decorations for your home base and stuff as you reach different levels. And their goal is to keep you continuing playing it. Like, that's the whole goal of a battle pass at the end of the day. And then they're going to have smaller ones that are like contracts or whatever they call it. And these maybe rotate weekly or monthly or whatever it is. But these are smaller goals that maybe are achieved by doing specific types of quests in the game and different missions or whatever it is that are dynamic. And again, the whole goal is to keep you engaged. The whole point of a battle pass is to keep you coming back and playing, repeatedly logging in over and over and over again as the months go by, so that when there's a new drop of an expansion, you're more likely to buy that. And the data is really, really clear. If you spend 50 hours in a game, your likelihood of buying a cosmetic is like this. If you spend 100 hours in that game, it goes up a little bit, a little more likely. If you spend 200 hours in the game, it goes up a little bit more. You spend 500, you're way more likely to buy cosmetics and stuff. And so the whole strategy is to keep you in the game for as long as possible, because then the odds of you spending money goes up. And once you've made that first cosmetics purchase, the odds of you making more, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 skin purchases, goes up exponentially. So the whole point of battle passes, whether you have just one big one or you have a big one and a couple small ones that each target different types of gameplay or different ways to unlock them. Maybe you unlock it with these keys, and then these keys are gained by completing these like faction quests, a specific faction quest, or maybe they're gained by just completing combat encounters or whatever it is. Excuse me. But the goal of Battle Pass is, even if you're not charging $5 for this, which I don't think they are, my understanding is that these are just something that happens every week or every month or every quarter, whatever it is. But the goal is to get you in the game for longer periods of time, because then you're more likely to buy the cosmetics, which they do charge for. So I do think that's an important clarification to make. But even with that, it brings up the question, why? Like, what is the purpose? And my frustration with a lot of Ubisoft's approaches in recent years have been that they do not make game design choices based on what will make for the best game or what gamers will like. They're making choices exclusively based on what can generate the most money. And that's been my question with like the whole thing with the Infinity Hub, which is supposed to be like COD HQ, but for Assassin's Creed moving forward. I've been wondering, like, what is the benefit to the player? And they've now come out and said it's going to like reinvent the modern day storyline. And so I'm sure that's going to help. And maybe that is better. But even then, like, it's really starts to sound like the only benefit is that it is a centralized hub where you can buy cosmetics that spill over to other games. And so the purpose is to keep you hooked in there in the ecosystem so that you continue spending more and more money. And it's like, at some point, you shouldn't be surprised if you're making design choices based around how to make the most money, not based on what players want. You shouldn't be surprised when players are like, I don't want this, I'm out. And that seems to be that's where a lot of players are right now. Praise the oak. Bro, then Yasuke goes, I'm hungry, dog, and pops out a Lunchleys. And then there's like Logan and Jake Paul doing a song, dancing in the background while there's a sponsored segment of all the assassins or all the developers within the AC Infinity hub eating Lunchleys. It's just, I think it's been demonstrated time and time again that if you make a really solid game that's just a good game, people will buy it. Novel concept, right? Novel concept. But it's like with some of these companies, it's just, they don't want to settle for that because they see the live service money and they're like, ooh, maybe we try that just a little bit. And honestly, like if they added this stuff, if they added this after launch, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. Like I think the only people playing the game a month after launch are probably the most diehard players who are interested in buying cosmetics and stuff. So what I think Ubisoft should do, if they are putting this stuff out of the game and if they're delaying it or cutting it or whatever it is, what I think they should do is come out and say, yes, there's going to be a sort of battle pass system that is free to players, that is just designed to give you free cosmetics as you play the game. It's going to come after launch. So it's going to come after a lot of you have finished the main story and everything. Right now, we are focused on the single player campaign, making it the best game we can, blah, 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 blah. Do that. There'll still be some people that are freaking out about it. But if it truly is just cosmetics, I still think it's kind of dumb in a single player game, but I get why it's there. This is a really expensive game and they're hoping to recoup at the very least dev costs and break even. Whether they can or not, I don't know, because they have a long way to go, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, if you want to see it, you can look it up because it's on the Game Ranks article. I won't show the pictures and stuff here, but it looks very similar to Valhalla, where you can buy skins for the people that will populate your little village, where you can buy a mount, where you can buy different skins for swords and stuff. Some of these are priced with Helix credits, which are real currency. I mean, it's like 600 Helix credits is $6. So it's about $6 for a weapon skin, it seems. And let's see. Yeah, some of these comments. So instead of cool add-ons like we used to see season passes, we are getting an effing battle pass in a single player game. Curious as to what actually comes season content wise. Like once I finish an AC game, I don't typically go back unless for DLC or expansion. Having a battle pass in a single player game seems weird. This is the thing. If you did not play Valhalla, you probably don't know how they've done this. Like it sounds weird, but Joe Raptor made an offhand joke about it where he was like, Assassin's Creed Shadows is basically going to be an MMO. And I think like that's kind of right. That's what they're trying to do. Like they want the single player game to be something you're logging into regularly. And yeah, you're not necessarily playing with other players moment to moment. It is something where their hope is that you continue coming back a lot. Wasn't there also like a leaked AC Shadows co-op mode? Yeah. GameSpot reported this. AC Shadows is reportedly getting a co-op mode after the game's launch, and it's codenamed League. So they also are suggesting that there's going to be a co-op mode for the game that comes after it launches. So I think the point of all this is that Shadows, it's clear they don't want you to think of it as just like AC2. They don't want you to think of it as just like this small single player game experience that you play, you buy for whatever money, and then that's it. They want you to think of this as like a massive game that you'll play for years, that has a co-op mode, that has all these other things, expansions and stuff planned. That's how they want it to be framed. And that's how they did it with Valhalla, and Valhalla made a ton of money. A ton. I don't know how this goes. I don't know how this goes. I don't think super well, but new AC article from Inside Gaming. It's probably covering the same stuff, I would guess. Yep. New data mine leak of the AC Animus Hub, which will launch alongside AC Shadows, has revealed season pass content and more. As initially reported by Insider Gaming, the Animus, originally called AC Infinity Hub, will launch alongside AC Shadows to be the launcher for AC games moving forward. In the Animus Hub, it will contain things like a season pass, cosmetics, and tell the modern day story of the AC games moving forward. Data mined and leaked by Reddit user Thorites. The first battle pass will be called Eye in the Dark, containing 20 different cosmetic tiers. Inside Gaming also heard of 3 other battle passes, previously named the Hidden Network, at the Last Ronin and In the Shadows, all of which had 20 different tiers too, but it's unclear when or if they'll release. The data mine leak also reveals that the Animus Hub will have an in-game store where players can buy cosmetic items for the characters, environments, and even pets. You can look at all the leaked images here. In September 2024, Ubisoft announced that it would delay AC Shadows from its scheduled November release date to February of 25. And that's all they've got. Man. Dude, and they have all of the data leaked. Man, Ubisoft really can't catch a break, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, 9,050 ISU coins. So this is the thing. They have ISU coins. There's also mentions of Helix credits. Are they going to have 2 different paid currencies in the game? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Unless ISU coins are something you're getting while playing the game, but how the hell... It's ISU coins. What does that even mean? Oh, man. Please don't let this mean the next 5 years of AC games are going to be merged into one trophy list like COD is. I think that's definitely what this means. Battle Pass for a single player game. I think, again, it's... What's clear is that Ubisoft does not view Shadows or AC anymore, or at least these big games, as just single player games. Like, they view these as live service games that only have one player, at least for a while until they add co-op, which seems they're working on. Oh, there's another article, Ronan. Also, Insider Gaming. Because these are the top trending ones. News, maybe. Oh, they already are getting out there talking about it. Okay, let's see this. Thank you, Ronan. On Thursday, details regarding the AC Animus Hub made their way online thanks to a leaker. The leak showed a battle pass for the game that included various cosmetics and even pets that could be unlocked. This led to speculation about what else could be included in the battle pass within Animus as a whole. After rumors continued to swirl about the possibility of paid extra content within the hub, Ubisoft decided it was best to comment on the claims. Good. Just talk about it. Let's see what they said. In a post on the game's official subreddit, community manager Ubi Waldo clarified some details about the Animus Hub and what players can expect from the offers. Quote, "It has come to our attention that inaccurate rumors have been circulating online regarding the upcoming Animus Hub, codenamed Infinity. He then went on to clarify that all rewards in the Animus Hub will be entirely free. He also said that, quote, players will have access to regular content and missions at no extra cost. Lastly, there are no paid subscriptions or paid battle pass within the Animus Hub. That's great. He closed his remarks stating that more details on what the Animus Hub will offer will come as the launch of AC Shadows gets closer. Insider Gaming was the first to report on the hub, formerly known as Infinity. The hub will act as the launcher for the games. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so like I was saying, I mean, it sounds like it hasn't changed from my previous understanding of it. They're paid because the goal, or they're not paid, to be clear. They're free because their expectation is the longer you're within the game, the higher the chances are of you spending money on paid cosmetics. So the goal is to have free battle passes, free stuff that keeps you coming in, because then you're way more likely to spend money on the stuff they do charge for, which are the paid cosmetics. Okay. There'll be NFTs though. Please, for the love of God, no. Please. Isu coins could be the free paid currency. You can still use them to buy cosmetics, but it'll require way more. Oh yeah, like what's a game that does this? Like Overwatch has the Overwatch coins or whatever it is. Then they have the other coins you get through gameplay. So you get some stuff that you earn through gameplay and other stuff that you pay for. Apex does it too. Yeah, you're totally right. It's kind of the meta now. They're following the Warframe recipe. Yeah, I mean, here's the other piece of this. If you didn't play Valhalla, I think the odds of you playing this are very, very, very low. Like, I don't think this does better than Valhalla, certainly. But if you played Valhalla, you know what kind of the Ubisoft package recently has been, which is that it literally is a massive game that they kind of want you to treat like an MMO. They want you to treat it like a massive game that you're going to play for years on end. They'll provide a lot of free updates, free content, expansions, all of that stuff. They'll have missions that are dynamic and randomly generated and procedurally generated, so you keep coming back and there's always something for you to do. Because the goal is those people that do that are going to come back for more. Like Joe Raptor was telling us, and this is where like it's important to understand what bubble you may or may not be in. Joe Raptor will make guides and videos talking about like the latest update to AC Valhalla. He'll get 200,000 views on it. And to me, like, that's shocking because I'm like, there's 200,000 people that are still playing Valhalla and want to know like what the new thing is. What? But apparently, yeah, they still have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of players across console, across Ubisoft's Kinect launcher, across everything that are still playing the game. And a lot of them are spending occasionally $5 here, $10 there on a cosmetic or on this or that. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense if you're outside of that bubble, but it's because we're kind of in our own bubble. My question is just whether all of the negativity surrounding Shadows spills over and will affect those other diehard people. Poor Valhalla players, they're lost. Yeah, they need a friend. Like that info of AC having 30 million new and unique players playing AC over a year. Yeah. No, I mean, over the course of a year, they had 30 something million. I think it was like 33 million or something unique players in Assassin's Creed games. Now that's across the whole portfolio. And they did have Mirage launch, but Mirage did not do 10 million. Like, they did not have 10 million players in Mirage. So a lot of those players were in games like Valhalla, Odyssey, Origins, AC2, Black Flag. But across the whole portfolio, they had like 30 something million players over the course of a year. That's ridiculous. Yeah, Mirage only sold 5 million copies. It's still 5 million's a lot for, it seems like it was a low budget, like smaller project for sure. But The point is, like, they have a lot of people play AC. To put it in perspective, Ubisoft is a company with 20,000 employees, multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they basically have 2 successful games. Rainbow and AC. And that's like it. That's it. So they're pretty big. If they can, I mean, they're not doing a great job keeping them afloat recently, but historically they have. So, you know, there's that. Yeah, 5 mil is still 5 mil. Exactly. Now people are like, well, but actually this other game did 20. It's like, okay, cool. Good job. Proud of you. Yes, that is what we call an exceptional success. You know what word is in exceptional? Exception. 5 million is still 5 million. A million is still a million. But the point is how much the game costs to make. If it cost $200 million to make and you only made 50, that's a failure. But if it cost you 40 million to make and you made 50, that actually was a success. You know? Larry needs to hurry up with their next game. I hate to break it to you, my friend. It's a long way away. Especially because it doesn't look like they're going to do the early access thing. They might, but it looks like they're going to keep it under wraps until it's pretty much ready to go. So, where was I? I think adding the game to Game Pass and PlayStation Plus would help with selling cosmetics. People are more willing to spend money if they can play the game for free. Yeah, but I think they also know that there's going to be still probably a few million people that are going to buy it outright at launch. Because again, AC is huge. I don't think it does anywhere near as well as Valhalla, because that also was in the middle of COVID, and you know there were a lot of reasons why that game popped off the way that it did. But I still think they'll make a lot of money by having a paid version, and then they'll probably bring it to Game Pass like 6 months later or something, or a year later. That wouldn't surprise me. But it might also be a thing where Microsoft's like, yeah, we don't want to touch that. We're good. But Microsoft also has a relationship with Ubisoft that's kind of weird because like they own the rights to their streaming stuff in the UK and Europe and everywhere. Didn't Valhalla release when the PS5 and Series consoles launched? Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. It's like it came out at a really perfect time. It was a massive game, so a lot of people got a lot out of it. It also was like a Viking themed game, which people ate up. People loved it. And there really was not, I can't think of any like big drama around it. Like it was just a game people were excited for and enjoyed. With this, it's like every time you hear about Shadows, it's something bad. I can't think of like one storyline or one thing that's been positive about the marketing cycle for it, you know? Aldroth, my first Luke stream to attend. I'm a late bloomer. I know. Oh, we're still glad you're here. Still glad you're here. Let's see, where was let me catch up on these. Hidden Creed, Ubisoft has already come out and said leaks aren't true about the Battle Pass, and the Battle Pass is free on the official AC Discord. Oh yes, thank you for that again. And yeah, like maybe I misspoke or I wasn't clear, but yeah, my understanding has always been that it's free because the point is that they get you in the game longer to buy the cosmetics that they charge for. So, but people hear Battle Pass and certainly think like $20, $10, whatever. Blake, thank you for that. 5 random comment, but sending games to die like Avowed is frustrating when there is promise. Mad Max was sent out to die, but it itself was fantastic. Yeah, I agree. It's a little sad. And whether that's what they mean to do or not, I'm not sure, but it certainly feels like where they're sending Avowed is just guaranteeing that it will be played by basically no one for 6 months. And that's too bad. I mean, it's just too bad. Unless they know that the game is not going to do well and is not going to review well, and they're sending it there because they just want it, like they want it to be buried. That might be part of it. Otherwise, I don't know why else they would put it there. Because if they know it's not going to do well there, why would you still put it there? Stubbornness? Or is there another motivation, you know? What's wrong with the date of Avowed? The early access is 2 days after Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 launches, which is like one of the biggest RPGs of the entire year. And it's launching right next to AC Shadows, so all of the news cycle is going to be dominated by that. And Monster Hunter comes out shortly after that. Yakuza comes out right after it. Like, they're just choosing to put it like right smack dab in the middle of some of the biggest games of the first 6 months. Like, it's really, really dumb in my view. Yeah. Avowed was the first move, then they got lucky with Shadows and Kingdom Come. Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I'm like, at this point, no one will blame you if you just push it back a month. Everybody's going to be like, fair. And probably be happy about it. Because of the end of the fiscal year, I think their fiscal year ends in the end of March. I think it's like March 31st. So even that, like, it would still be within the fiscal year. So Maya, thank you for that. Valhalla trailer only focused on Vikings and not the Creed, and I wasn't much excited on launch. In AC Shadows, at least, you get to play as assassins. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just any game that came out in like 2020, 2021 that had outsized success is just, it's really tough to figure out what was because the game was just so good or what was a result of COVID and people like working from home and stuff like that, you know. Caleb, thank you for the 10. I'm sorry, Luke, but Kingdom Come is far from the biggest game of the year. Kingdom Come, I mean, I think I said biggest RPG of the year. Kingdom Come 1 was great, but pretty small niche game, and I'm sure the new one is going to be great, but the common gamer isn't following it. Maybe. I mean, it's certainly more niche than like Assassin's Creed. But I still think that, at least what I've seen, on my end with the analytics that I've been looking at, like viewership, engagement over the trailers, over the reveals and stuff have been pretty good. I mean, the gameplay showcase did 2 million views on their comparatively very small channel. Like I do think there's a lot of people watching it. And if it reviews well, it'll blow up even bigger, but I mean, it's like AC Shadows is being marketed as a big RPG, like an epic RPG, or not Shadows, Avowed. It's like an RPG, and so this is taking some of those players. And then Shadows is also trying to market itself as an RPG, and so that's gonna potentially take some players, though I think the overlap between Avowed and Shadows is probably not that big. But at the very least, I think it has an effect. Like, I, for one, at least anecdotally, I know that I am going to be playing this over Avowed if the launch days stay the same. Like, that's just where I'm at. Okay. Okay. What we're going to do, fam, I'm going to go to lunch with the missus. What? I don't understand what somebody sent me this. The Mandator age ratings in Steam's German store now going live. Oh, does Germany have like new rules? Germany stuff. Is anyone from Germany? Can anyone explain this? What is this? Does anyone know what this is? Is there like a new law or something where certain games, like if they're rated M or NC-17, like you can't sell it? I don't know. Yes, I'm from Germany, but I don't know. Lunch is based. You're damn right. Lunch is based. Damn right. censorships through the back door. Adult Germans can't see stored pages of censored games. It's beyond disgusting practice that must stop. Parents are in to control their children, not the government. Germany, I have no clue. Got stricter. Jeez, man. What kind of games got affected? Oh, they're gonna make me sign in. It's too bad. It's too bad, but Germany's always been weird about stuff. Like if you've ever tried the Saboteur, it's a game like set in Germany, of course. Let's see. I was hoping I could find a video of it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think. Basically, there's the German version of the game, just has all of the banners and stuff that previously had like swastikas on it. Like all the banners are replaced just with white cloth. It's really weird. It's because of how they obviously it's a little bit of a sensitive subject. I totally understand. But it's really strange because they still sold the game in Germany or like distributed it there or something. But all of the banners and Nazi imagery is, of course, just wiped from the game. But it's still really weird. It's like, but you still sold the game. Like, and they talk about it. It's just really weird. German censorship. Can't keep track. If a game is not rated by the USK and Germany, they're not allowed to sell the game. It's a new law. Ooh. Interesting. Interesting. But also, Avowed will not be played by the common gamer, and in this RPG fight, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is much bigger in the question of price tag. I think Kingdom Come. When RPG fans are looking at Avowed or Kingdom Come, I think RPG fans choose Kingdom Come. Disproportionately. Maybe that's wrong, but sucks as a German. I know, I am one. I believe it. I mean, your name is Slomsha. That's just a fun name to say. This is fun. But okay, much love, everybody. I will see you soon. I'm gonna go get lunch with the missus. We will put up either a video on this Assassin's Creed thing, or we'll put up the Veilguard thing once and for all and be done with that game. Either way, a video will be up on the main channel later today. Until then, my friends, much love. I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye. Also, Onyx Wolf, thank you for the sub over on Twitch. You're awesome. Much love.